She's literally everywhere. You can't get away from this woman. How's it going? I'm Mick Red2. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be listening to, once again, Chen, but this time talking about abortion and wondering why young people are so radical. I know I cover her a lot, but she has her own channel. She's been featured on PragerU. I think she's been on Daily Wire. And I know that this video itself is coming from Blaze TV. So she's on at least 3 different channels that upload regularly. It's kind of hard to get away from Chen. Well, let's take a look, see what she has to say.
Recently, we saw some truly disgusting pro-abortion sentiments at the Women's March in DC. And no, I don't mean pro-choice, I mean pro-abortion. At the
So pro-abortion sentiments are kind of a reasonable reaction to the right's demagoguery about the pro-life movement and their demonization of women who get a necessary medical procedure that is key to their health. So yes, women have begun propping up the abortions that they have to kind of bring it into a positive light, to change the narrative surrounding the procedure itself, to change the narrative on it. If the only way that an individual would hear about the procedure is in a negative light, calling it murder, calling them baby killers, saying that women are murdering their children in the womb, that's really all that people are going to view abortion as, rather than viewing it as a woman's choice to do with her body what she wishes and do what's best for her, and making it known that the organism inside of their body is not a fully formed human being. It is not a child. It is not a baby. It is not a person. It's a clump of cells. In the vast majority of abortions, it is just a clump of cells that is being removed from the body. There's nothing wrong with painting abortion in a positive light, especially considering the dialogue surrounding the procedure, particularly coming from the right. Like right here, parasites don't have rights. That's true. Medically speaking, a fetus could be considered a parasite. It's completely reliant on the host body for all of its nutrients and everything, basically everything that it needs to remain functional and continue living is supplied by the host, in that case being the woman carrying said fetus. So it does meet the definition, and there are several other qualifiers, but it does meet the definition of a parasite. So yeah, parasites don't have rights. Fetuses don't have rights. Women do.
Women's March, we saw women with a sign saying parasites don't have rights, apparently referring to the unborn as parasites. Just lovely, real charming. And horrifyingly enough, and I do apologize for what I'm about to show you all, by the way, we also saw this. I guess we'll call it a counter-protest going on in front of some pro-life demonstrators.
Okay, so I'm going to have to mute the audio on this because I don't know how they got the rights to play WAP. I believe it's by Cardi B in their video. I don't know how they're doing that. Maybe they're demonetized. Maybe it got a copyright claim, so they're just not making any money off of it. But yeah, they're playing Wet Ass Pussy. And this woman is twerking to it, and it's absolutely fucking hilarious. These signs... These are the more mild ones. These signs right here. I kind of want to give you a little insight into my personal life. Because this topic, especially these kinds of protests, where they come and hold up signs of fetuses and aborted fetuses in particular, make my blood boil. When I was very young, I had to be between 5 and 7 years old. My family went on a trip. I don't remember where we went. I believe we were going camping. I'm not 100% sure, but we went on a trip when I was very young out of town. And on the way to our destination, I believe it was a campground, there was a pro-life protest outside of a local courthouse or something like that. It was like a government building that this thing was taking place in front of. And these kind of protesters do the most disgusting shit I've ever seen when it comes to an actual protest. The group of people that I encountered personally, and I was only in the car, I wasn't walking by, so it was a very short but yet traumatic experience for me. They had a banner that was easily the length of a bus of an aborted fetus, an actual photograph of an aborted fetus, like in pieces, on this massive banner on the side of the road for anyone to see. And I was 5 or 6 years old. Seeing this, it traumatized me. It was horrifying, especially as a young child. It was absolutely horrifying seeing these things. And I grew up in a very fundamentalist Christian household, and so I was pro-life at the time. And my mom was like, "See, look at what they do to those poor babies. It's terrible, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yo, yeah, Mom, it's terrible." And then I had nightmares for a month about that image because it was seared into my cerebrum. I couldn't get it out of my head for years. I couldn't get it out of my head. It would routinely just pop back in at random times. It was very traumatic for me to see that. And these kind of protesters here are doing the exact same thing. And you want to know what's really fucked up about those kinds of banners and signs that they hold? Now, the ones in these ones, these are just like 3D ultrasounds. Like that's like they're ignorant, they're wrong, sure. Like a 33-week-old healthy baby that doesn't pose a risk to the mother and is not going to have health complications that are going to just render it dead within days or hours of being born is not going to get aborted. It doesn't happen. A woman doesn't get to the 3rd trimester of a wanted pregnancy and just decide, I don't want to be pregnant anymore. I'm sure it has happened in a incredibly small handful of cases, but that is not the norm. Something like 80%, I think, I'm not looking it up, but a very high percentage, well over 2/3 of abortions take place in the 1st trimester when it's just a clump of cells, and it's usually done via the pill. But anyway, the point I was getting at was the fucked up part of that banner that I saw when I was a very young and impressionable child is that it wasn't only that they had a chopped up fetus on a banner the size of a bus for anyone to see. The fucked up part is those people are the reason that image exists. You see, pro-lifers have pushed legislation that has passed and been implemented as law that requires abortions after a certain point when the fetus has phalanges, it has limbs, it has a face, all of that. It's mostly formed, yet the pregnancy is unviable, whether it's the fetus itself won't survive childbirth or much long after, or it presents a health risk to the mother and has to be aborted. Rather than terminating the pregnancy and having the woman give birth to a stillborn fetus intact and either allowing the mother of this wanted pregnancy to cremate the child or have the child buried, but get to hold the child that they wanted, but unfortunately were not able to have for a variety of reasons. They are now required by law to dismember the fetus while removing it. And it was the pro-lifers that did that. Pro-life people pushed that kind of legislation to make it so that banner was possible. That the image that is seared into my brain was possible. It was pro-life people that required that. Otherwise, that fetus more than likely would have just been a stillbirth, and then the family could have done what they wished with the remains. And I believe there's legislation in several states where the fetus cannot be cremated or buried either, which is fucked up, and that's also because of pro-life legislation. But getting back to the video, this is fucking hilarious. Just taking the piss out of pro-life protesters that have no business being there, because fuck them, it's not your body. But anyway, let's continue on with the video.
Even if you're pro-choice, such a callous and insensitive approach to abortion should shock you. But
how the fuck is dancing to wet-ass pussy in front of protesters you disagree with callous? How is that wrong? How is that being callous about the topic of abortions? That's just disrespecting the people that you disagree with. That's not doing anything against the babies that they're trying to save. She's dancing.
But it's no surprise that young women act this way considering the type of material they're bombarded with from an early age. Let us turn now to the online mark of the beast, Teen Vogue.
Mark of the beast. I mean, Vogue is a fashion magazine and Teen Vogue is geared to teenagers, and I'm sure there's articles about women's health in both magazines. How the fuck is it the mark of the beast? Is it satanic propaganda? I don't understand. I mean, the Church of Satan is a rather wholesome group, but like, how is it the mark of the beast? I doubt she's going to go into that. She just wants to insult a magazine she doesn't like.
A cursory glance at their website shows several stories painting teens having abortions in a positive light. One article titled "Crystal Good Just Told the Senate Why Her Abortion at 16 Matters" reads that during the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings considering notably anti-abortion Judge Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court, a woman from West Virginia gave testimony about her abortion at age 16. She said that her right to access healthcare is why I am here today.
Absolutely. There are many young women that need access to abortion care, and without it, their lives would be destroyed. They are not ready emotionally, physically, psychologically, or financially ready or capable of supporting a child. And the idea that abortion rights are going to be taken away from them is very scary for a lot of women, because they need access to that medical procedure. Otherwise, their life is going to be stagnated. And abortion is a medical procedure that can help prevent that. And see, because of her age and the laws in her home state, Good couldn't access the safe medical procedure without either notifying a parent or seeking permission from a judge. That's fucked up. At 16, you should be able to make medical decisions about yourself. Yeah, you're not, like, fully formed in the brain, sure, but if you need an abortion as a young woman, you should be able to without having to get your parents' permission for your own medical health.
Because of her age and the laws in her home state, Good couldn't access the safe medical procedure without either notifying a parent or seeking permission from a judge.
Having experienced sexual abuse, Good said she didn't feel safe asking a parent, so she went to court. So the young woman, it's based on the verbiage used here, was a rape victim that was carrying the child of her abuser. In that particular instance, there should be nothing standing in that young woman's way of getting an abortion. No woman, regardless of age, should be forced to carry their assaulter's child to term and raise it.
Having experienced sexual abuse, Good said she didn't feel safe asking a parent, so she went to court. Not only is this piece pro-abortion, it's also pro-underage abortion without the consent of a parent.
It's not pro-abortion, it's just showing the medical necessity of the procedure. She was 16 and a rape victim, presumably based on the verbiage. I'm not familiar with the particular case, but based on what the article is saying, she was raped as a 16-year-old and was carrying her assaulter's child. There should be nothing standing in her way of getting rid of that fetus. She didn't ask for it. It's not like the pro-lifers like to say, well, you should have kept your legs shut and not had premarital sex and you wouldn't need an abortion. She wasn't given the option. She wasn't given the option to not have sex. She was forced into it and became pregnant as a result. It's not pro-abortion. It's not pro-killing babies. And I know that's how you're trying to paint this. It's showing the validity and necessity of a medical procedure that Amy Coney Barrett could potentially be a part of taking away from women nationwide.
Next, we have a very intersectional piece called What It Was Like to Have an Abortion as a Religious Genderqueer Teen. The article reads that in this excerpt from Dr. Mira Shah's newly published book, You're the Only One I've Told, The Stories Behind Abortion, the doctor and advocate tells the story of Alex, a genderqueer teen in the Bible Belt who needs an abortion. Alex's boyfriend, Brandon, impregnates them after homecoming, and because of abortion restrictions, Alex must tell their dad and have his help to access the procedure. If pretty much every other article on your website talks about abortion and people having abortions and how important abortions are, it's gonna normalize abortions.
Good. And I guarantee you Vogue, a fashion magazine or a women's magazine, isn't just abortion propaganda. I guarantee you. In fact, let's take a look. Let's go to Vogue. Teen Vogue. Teen Vogue. Under 21 beating the odds. Cyber Monday deals. Black Friday deals. Selena Gomez fans are happy about something. Politics, style, culture, identity, and summit. I don't know what that is, but so yeah. Teen Vogue is about more than just abortion. I didn't see anything related to abortion on that screen we just looked at. So what are you talking about if almost every article is talking about abortion and women having abortions? It's going to normalize it. One, yes, abortion should definitely be normalized. But two, that's not even true. You're just fucking lying.
Which even if you're pro-choice, again, you shouldn't want.
Why not? I am very pro-choice. I've told my wife, and I have it in previous videos with her in the chat back when I used to stream this instead of recording offline. I had her in the chat ask me specifically, when my wife was pregnant with my daughter, whom I love very much and is 18 months old and is driving me insane, if she wanted to have an abortion when she was pregnant, what would I do? And I told her I would drive you to the clinic. I am very pro-choice. And I want abortion, a necessary medical procedure, to be normalized. I want it to be as normalized as fixing bunions. I want it as normalized as a hip replacement. I want it as normalized as a tonsillectomy. Many people that I know have had their tonsils removed, including myself. I no longer have tonsils. It's considered normal. An appendectomy is considered normal, if rare, but it's not something that anybody's looked down upon. If a person's having hip issues and needs a hip replacement, they're not looked down upon for it. Yet the same cannot be said for women who get abortions. Why not? It's a medical procedure, and it's what's best for that woman's health. The same as a tonsillectomy or a hip replacement or an appendectomy. It's what's best for their health. So yeah, we do want it normalized. But what you're saying is bullshit because you just lied about what Teen Vogue is all about and the things that they post. So you're lying.
Abortions are not a good thing for anybody, and I think
Yes,
it's important to note that Teen Vogue spends way more time talking about abortions than they do practicing safe sex.
Practicing safe sex is normalized all over the country. Millions of young women take birth control. They have IUDs. They get the implant or the shot or the various other forms of birth control available to women. Men have it drilled into their head, rightfully so, that you should wear a condom if you're going to have sex, unless you are ready to have a child. One particularly crass rhyme that I was taught in high school was wrap it in latex or she'll get your paychecks. Obviously using the threat of child support as a way to scare men into wearing condoms, which, I mean, it worked for me. I wore condoms because I didn't want to have to deal with child support. But what I'm getting at is safe sex, having safe sex in most of America is normalized. Everybody knows what a condom is. Comprehensive sex education to varying degrees is taught all across the United States. It's mandated by the Department of Education. Every single kid in America that goes to a public school knows what a condom is, and girls are taught the basics of you can take a pill for birth control. It may not go further than that, particularly in the South, but safe sex is normalized, and the vast majority of America's youth know about safe sex and know that they should use contraception and have safe sex. But kids are dumb and they don't. Duh. So, if a young woman finds herself pregnant at 16 and is not capable in any respect to care for a child, she should not be forced to because of one mistake that she made when she was young. She should not have her entire life ruined because of a mistake that she made when she was young. She should be able to have a perfectly safe, perfectly normal medical procedure to remedy the situation. Removing a clump of cells, some might call a parasite, because it does fit the definition of a parasite, from her body to ensure that she can have a fulfilling life ahead of her. There's nothing wrong with that.
So in closing, if you want to know why so many young people are radical leftists, just take a look around. The Overton window is going to keep shifting steadily leftward as long as progressives have control over the education system and popular culture. And if conservatives don't want that to happen, then we need to do something about it.
Okay, so abortion rights are not really the reason why people are being radicalized. And the sad fact is the vast majority of Americans are not radical leftists. I am, and many people I know are, at least online. But the vast majority of Americans are not socialists, communists, anarchists. They're kind of milquetoast lib shit centrist Dems, which is better than being a Republican, I guess. But abortion's not the reason that people are getting radicalized. More and more young people are getting radicalized compared to previous generations, especially younger millennials and Gen Z. But that's not the reason people are getting radicalized. You realize that, right? You see, what radicalized me was honestly COVID-19. Really. I stumbled upon Vosh's channel at the beginning of the pandemic because I had nothing to watch, and it came up on my suggested list, so I watched it, and I started watching and consuming his content, and he started pointing shit out to me that made a lot of sense. Prior to that, like, when I was younger, probably 2015 to 2018 or so, I slid down the alt-right pipeline pretty fucking hard. I never became like a Nazi or an alt-righter or a white supremacist or anything that extreme, but I was very against PC culture and government handouts and against gun control, even though that really hasn't changed. But I was kind of I would call myself a left-leaning centrist because, you know, I supported gay marriage and I supported ideas like Medicare for all. But that was about it. But then the pandemic hit. And then I started watching Vosh, but I started seeing how our country was handling the poorest and most vulnerable among us. And then the George Floyd incident happened. And so many things compounded on top of each other. I started seeing that millions of people were going hungry in the richest country in the history of mankind. And I started seeing that millions of people currently are at risk of eviction in January when the moratorium on evictions lifts. And we're going to have about 40 million potentially homeless people in America, in the richest country in the history of mankind. I, for many years, was very poor and was very pissed that because I worked a minimum wage job, I didn't qualify for food stamps. And so my wife and I, for several years, our dinner 5 nights a week was a box of rice-a-roni and a can of corn mixed together. And that was our dinner. And then I learned that there are millions of food insecure households just like mine across the United States. And there are things that we can do about that. And a lot of the ways that we can fix it come from socialism. From the workers owning the means of production rather than a single business owner, capitalist bourgeois class. By instituting social safety nets funded by the additional tax revenue from people making more money because they have a stake in the businesses that they work for. Our ability to eradicate homelessness. There's about 500,000 homeless people in America and 17 million vacant houses. That's enough to give each one of them 30 and still have like 2 million houses left over. We have the ability, we have the resources to get rid of homelessness, to get rid of hunger, especially in the United States, but worldwide. But we don't, because profit. That is what radicalized me. And many other things, but that's just a brief summary. Abortion didn't radicalize me. I've been pro-choice for years. I haven't been a radical leftist for more than a year. So no, abortion isn't radicalizing people. Our material conditions are. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. Once again, I've been McRed2. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to drop a like, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me at my socials here. You can follow me on Twitter. You can join the Discord if you want to join the conversation. Or you can follow me on Twitch. I stream every Saturday and Sunday, starting at about 9-ish. It depends on how bedtime goes. I do have an 18-month-old, so I try to get up on time, go live on time, but I stream every Saturday and Sunday. If I have a day off during the week, I try to stream then too. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Until the next one, peace.